Hello everyone, Eric Watson here, freelance writer, player of games, writer of words, recorder videos, and tabletop role-playing aficionado. Welcome to This Week in D&D, where I break down the news surrounding Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition and the tabletop RPG industry. This is the week of July 24th, 2025. You see, I can do This Week in D&D once a week. I remember we talked about I was only doing it like every other week, maybe a fortnight of D&D, but damn it, we've got news to talk about, and I've got some time to do the stream in between panic prepping for the patron D&D game tonight. First of all, you probably already heard this news, but the Eberron adventure has been delayed, which has not happened very often. Eberron, sorry, I said adventure. The Eberron new source book that we've been talking about for weeks and weeks. Eberron Forge the Artificer has been delayed due to, it looks like, a printing manufacturing error. They actually show pictures on the D&D Beyond news post. Says, after reviewing the full scope of the problem, which the problem is the covers began to warp as time passed. A serious issue emerged. This was a defect that developed after production and wasn't visible during initial inspection, which they show as an example, like, yeah, the edge of which, you know what? Maybe this is what happens when you have such a thin fucking book. No copies with this defect will be shipped to customers. This is a complete reprint, not a patch job, and we believe that's the right call. So they already received the first printed copies, and they even say that they, I believe they missed it during the like test, because obviously they get like a test prototype to make sure everything looks fine, and they can check for any major errors, although errata, mistakes still make it through because humans are involved. But this is a pretty big damn deal that they had to literally recall the entire book because of a manufacturing. I don't know how much money that cost them, how much their first the first printed copies. That couple of words doing a lot of heavy lifting. We don't know how much that is. We know waiting isn't easy, but to preserve the integrity of the experience and ensure a unified launch for everyone, we've aligned the digital and physical editions for the same time, meaning both the digital and physical editions will now officially launch on December 9th. This was supposed to come out within a few weeks. I believe like early to mid-August. This was the next big thing coming out. We've already done a bunch of previews. All their marketing and promo has been hitting in full swing and been covering everything. So that's a huge damn deal. Just putting on my corporate hat for a second, that they have to delay it by 4 months is significant. Officially launched on December 9th. Early access has been adjusted to match the new release time. So I assume that's maybe like a week before. All right, it says right here. If I keep reading, November 25th is now early access for stores and the D&D Beyond Master Tier subscribers. So it's 2 weeks early, which falls like right in the Thanksgiving holiday for the US. So that is they call it Wizards Play Network store, basically a hobby store that's got that worked out with Wizards, that they can get the first appearance on the shelves, and then the digital version is first for Master Tier subscribers. We're still confirming the release date for European stores. December 2nd is D&D Beyond Hero Tier access for subscribers who purchase Eberron Forge the Artificer, get access on December 2nd. And I guess the full release is on December 9th. That's nuts. We know many of you were looking forward to exploring Eberron. To make up for the delay, we're going to offer a special bonus mini-adventure for all pre-orders. This Eberron adventure is our way of saying thank you for your patience during this unexpected delay. The mini-adventure will be available when you receive your pre-ordered product, which actually includes a printed copy at pickup while supplies last. That's interesting. Is that like, here's a couple PDFs that we printed off, or are we actually printing off the adventure? D&D Beyond pre-orders will receive a digital copy when the product goes live on the platform. Partner VTT users will receive a digital copy of the adventure on the respected platform. Okay. The retail customers will receive updates on how this adventure will be distributed. And then they ask about questions or refunds. I don't remember this happening with any of the 5e releases, honestly. Like, I'm sure this happened. I mean, a lot of people have to do recalls. With books, I don't think it happens too often. But to have, like, just a physical manufacturing problem with the book itself is pretty unheard of, but I wonder if it literally has something to do with the fact that this is like the thinnest book they've released for 5th edition so far. I remember I showed last time that like, what was it, like Xanathars and Toshas and all those, which were pretty thin and short, those were like 200-page books. And they said Forge the Artificer was literally like a 100-page book, but using their same kind of glossy, full cover art style. I'm obviously just theorizing. It could just be something to do with the manufacturing, whatever. But I mean, we're pretty late in the fucking process now. Like, I don't know how this happened. I mean, mistakes happen, I guess. But apparently they can just reorder a new run. So yeah, unfortunately, that really sucks for people that were really counting on this content. Lumpy, I know you're a big Eberron fan. It's gonna start my new Eberron campaign in September and I have to push it back. Yeah, that sucks. This will cost someone a lot of money, either WotC or the publishing company. I mean, both, basically. Like, I'm sure there are contingencies in place for this kind of thing to happen, but like, the fact that you go all the way to the printed copies, like you're supposed to catch this in the prototype, when they send out just a couple and like, here's what the finished product is going to look like, and then you order your bunch. Yeah, it even says, at first everything looked great and met our production standards, but as time passed, a serious issue emerged. So maybe like the first ones did that. I'm not sure. Like, how much time passed? I don't know. I don't expect them to go into details because, like, frankly, they didn't even have to show the pictures, but they did, which is something, I guess. And these actually look like somebody just took a picture of a bunch of us. These are not like gussied up to look nice. It's a desk with a bunch of shit on it. But yeah, that sucks. So if you were counting on, having that Eberron content, mainly, like, I don't think there was a lot of stuff for DMs in there, frankly, for Eberron. I think you would probably end up using the last one they released, the Rising from the Last War, as your Eberron book. But if you were counting on that for your players, because obviously a big selling point for, adventuring in a new area rather than like the default of Forgotten Realms, is the unique species and cultures that exist in that world, and then players would want to be excited about playing those, which we just covered on last week's This Week in D&D, because they covered that in a preview because they were leading up to the release of Forge the Artificer, and obviously the Artificer class would be a big signature thing to do as well. So to not have any of that content for your players, yeah, I can see why you would not want to jump into the start of a campaign, because obviously that's when you want to start all your characters. So that really sucks if you were planning on doing that. I don't know whose fault this ultimately. I mean, obviously, I guess it's a manufacturing fault, but and the fact that Wizards wasn't able to catch this or something before they got too far along in the process. Clearly, everybody's going to be pissed off about this. Wizards is definitely pissed off about this. Like I said, I mean, this fucks up their whole timeline and their whole release schedule. It's a big deal when any company has to do a major recall like this. They were planning on this in terms of their forecasts and their, like I said, their marketing and promo was all about Eberron, and they were, leading up to all that stuff and doing that. Now they just have to like shelve all that and then start doing another like presumably round of promo, like, as we get to like November. So, and what does that do for their other releases that were already scheduled? Like, does that bump other things around because now they want to make sure this is having its own thing? So it's a big deal, and it's a shitty deal for just everybody. It sucks for the company, and it sucks for all of us who were, looking for. I mean, I was getting ready to cover this, basically be a Roll20. It's also interesting. I can see why people would complain that, like, because you could make the argument of like, well, at least release the digital versions, right? Because everything's digital now, and a lot of people are getting digital with their physical books. And why would the digital version have to suffer? Because there's obviously nothing wrong with that one, because it's all about the physical stuff. I can see that argument. Also, I think all of us can understand the argument why they do not want to release the digital version first, because ultimately they still want to sell books. It's very important that they sell books. It's very important that they have this relationship with hobby stores that they call the Wizards Play Network, and to be able to sell those books first, to those stores, even before, like I guess it does say physical or digital 2 weeks early. If you purchase from participant, okay, so I guess you only get the digital version if you're part of the master tier subscriber, or if you actually buy the physical book. So I get that argument as well. Like they're saying, well, because we had to delay the physical book, that means we're also having to delay the digital book. So I get it, because they want to make sure that's still a special release and they want to just sync everything up. Because if they release the digital one now and then like months later it's the physical one, I don't know what that would do to their sales. That would be fascinating, actually. But we're not going to see it because they're just going to delay everything. So that's ultimately probably the right call. And again, if I was putting my corporate hat on, I would probably agree with that's the right call. But as somebody who primarily plays, D&D online via virtual tabletop, I'm like, oh man, it's like, I don't care if the book's warped. Like, let me see that new content. Let me cover it and maybe look at doing, Eberron for a campaign or something. So at least the company's taking responsibility for the quality. Yeah, which is interesting because I guess they could have just said nothing and then released it and then dealt with the backlash. I mean, there were talks, like there were some very heated, important talks about this where they looked at it and said, what is the ratio between us like releasing this book as is and taking the backlash, because you can already see the YouTubers with the thumbnails and the the arrows pointing at the books like warping and stuff, because this shit probably would have, if they discovered it, then damn well people would have discovered probably this person like, oh, Wizards released a shoddy product, and so they're thinking about that versus what the cost is to delay this by several months and reprint it. And that's why I'm not in a head honcho at a corporate meeting, because I don't want to make those decisions. Settings should be rules agnostic. A friend of mine used the Oz Atlas to run a campaign for this. Well, I don't think this is a setting book specifically. I think this is a rules book, a players focused rules books. I don't know. With 100 pages, I don't think you can do much of a source book for Eberron, other than a few things. I think Rising from the Last War that they released is still going to be the primary source book that folks can use. Humid ass weather. I haven't noticed anything on mine, but honestly, I'm not even sure. I guess this is pretty bad looking, but is it bad for me to say that I'm not sure I would really care that much? I guess that's bad if it like warps that bad, but can you just like put it under a stack of heavy books for a while? I guess it's one thing if they describe that it's really like flimsy and feels like it's bending or something. That's one thing, I guess. It feels like really shitty. But if it just starts to bend a little bit, like fucking, I don't know. I don't think I would have cared that much, frankly. I'm not very nitpicky about that kind of stuff. But again, if they look at it and say like, ooh, this is not up to our standards and quality that we expect, then more power to them. They should be proud of the books that they release. That's their whole deal. So I get it. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but it is a big deal that they're delaying it, and by delaying it by a lot, 4 months delay. Right? It was supposed to literally release in August. Now it's coming out in December. I guess it takes a long time. Either it takes a long time to print books, or they already looked at their schedule and been like, this is the next time we can release something because we've got this other thing coming out, which I think is, Heroes. We've got the starter set coming out, I think, in September. And then I think we've got the Forgotten Realms books coming out, which I do want to showcase a little something about that as well. All right, moving on. We've got more exciting news, which is that they have announced another Stranger Things collaboration called Welcome to the Hellfire Club. So they originally did a Stranger Things collab. Somebody help me out. I forget when that was. But it was like it was an adventure technically, but it was like a pretty low level, like one dungeon crawl thing, and it had like the black and white maps. Like, I don't think anybody was terribly impressed about it. In fact, I forgot if I even reviewed it or not, and it came out years ago. I mean, Stranger Things has been around for a while. Fun fact, I am a huge Stranger Things fan. Have been since season 1, and I got my wife into it whenever season 4 started. So we went back and watched the whole series and then watched season 4. And now with season 5 coming later this year, I am introducing my oldest kid to Stranger Things. and we are currently rewatching the whole series. So it's my 4th time to watch the series, because I watched it several times before. Basically, every time a season comes out, I rewatch the series. My wife's 2nd time, and my oldest 1st time watching it. We just finished season 1 again, literally like 2 nights ago, I think. And it's still a fucking 10 out of 10 show for me. I absolutely love everything about it. It is absolutely my vibe. I enjoy. I can't say enough good things about it. And obviously, I like D&D also. So the description, the Hellfire Club. So all of this is a reference, by the way. So the original one they released was obviously referenced to the very first season, where they're famously playing Dungeons & Dragons both at the beginning and end of that season. And D&D kind of ends up being a thing that the kids are, they're a group of friends, but they play D&D, which is fun. But it ends up, in fact, one of the jokes a character makes later is like, can we please play D&D? Like, they just don't really do it as much because the plot just ends up getting too crazy. But there is a fun thing they do in season 4, at least the beginning of that season, where they're playing D&D again with a new DM, which is fan favorite character Eddie Munson. And this is a reference specifically to that, which, Stranger Things, season 1 was 2016, season 2, 2017, I believe, season 3, 2019, and then season 4, I think, was 22. And now season 5 is going to be this year. So years between seasons that it's taken them. So already the thing they're referencing is like several years old. But again, with the new season coming out, it makes sense they would want to release it now. The Hellfire Club started as a haven for outsiders, free spirits, and dice slingers. But founder Eddie Munson's final campaign was left unfinished until now. Keep the flames of Hellfire burning in this board game bundle. Once again, they're calling it a board game, which includes a collaborative 3 to 5 player board game and digital adventure pack featuring Eddie's Lost Adventures. The Stranger Things Welcome to the Hellfire Club Ultimate Bundle invites you to gather the gang and choose how the story ends. This is releasing October 7th, which is probably a good time to release it. I wonder if they would even try to do it closer to November, because that would have been, again, when the new season is coming out. I love this little itemization, by the way. 4 adventures, 4 maps, levels 1 to 3, 30 monsters, 36 spells, and 20 magic items. This honestly almost sounds like a Fandelver-sized adventure we got. Almost. Levels 1 to 3 and 4 adventures a little bit. Okay, adventures. Do you mean maps? Oh, no. So it says maps right there. Together, your crew take on challenges hotter than hellfire, from gnarly battles with demogorgons and demodogs, eerie dockside murders, and the treacherous Veil of Shadows, which is what they... So another fun thing they do in the series is they connect all these supernatural elements into Dungeons and Dragons. So famously, they named the first monster the Demogorgon. Another monster they referred to as a Mind Flayer, and then the big bad that they referred to in the last season was Vecna. And then they referred to the supernatural extra dimension. It's called the Upside Down more famously, but they are initially... in season 1, which I know because I recently rewatched season 1, they explain it by talking about the Veil of Shadows from Dungeons & Dragons, which I don't know what that's called. I think it's called something else now in 5th edition, but I forgot. Was it just like the Shadow Plane or something? I don't think it's called Veil of Shadows. Step back into the 80s. Take a time machine back to the 80s with a totally tubular collection, including retro cards, vibrant character sheets, and a Dungeon Master screen. That's an entire 9 hells of 80s themed flavor to explore. Alright, if there's any one product that I would allow to include the nostalgic black and white kind of e-zine, like art, or magazine, not e-zine, magazine, like, old school art style, it would be this one, which is featured in some of the adventures in Dragon Delves. Shadowfell, I guess that's what I'm thinking of, yeah. Grab your snacks, invite your buddies, gather around the table to get rocking and rolling on psychedelic adventures with tips and tricks from the legend Eddie Munson himself. This is a place where everyone is welcome. 91 cards for spells, magic items, and monsters, 72 tokens, 2 double-sided poster maps, 15 character sheets. So does that mean... what is that, 5 characters for levels 1 through 3? Probably. And 4 in-world handouts. Combat tracker notepad set of 11 dice. 4 adventure booklets and 1 play guide. Oh, we've got a video. I do love the promo art, which showcases the player characters. And then Eddie Munson looking absolutely amazing. All right, this is probably going to use licensed music, so I'm probably going to turn it down, but let's see. Yep. I love that theme song, but we're just going to have to watch the video. Definitely looks very old school. Oh man, that art. Okay. Did they get the actor licenses or not? Hard to say, honestly. Definitely obviously got the character likenesses. There's Dustin, Eddie, Mike, and Erica. I really love that art style. They did this in the 2024 book, by the way, where they show, like, on the same artwork, they show the players playing the game and then, like, the players as their characters, like, in the game. That's really cool looking. I do hope that if they do manage to execute a D&D television show, that it will do something like this, where it will, you know, go full on like the movie Honor Among Thieves, where it's like, hey, here's the Forgotten Realms universe and everything. But then, like, at the beginning and end of every show or something, it kind of pulls back and shows the character, the players playing as the characters, and then maybe like their, you know, include like a little bit of drama or things going on in their lives, and that kind of bleeds through to like their personalities, and that maybe bleeds through to the characters somewhat. I think that would be the approach that I would use. I would try to do the best of both worlds. Okay, I was hoping they would show some of the map content. God, the screen looks so cool. The DM screen. Look at the artwork on that. That is nifty. So kind of making it similar to the new starter set. Is this just kind of what they're going to be doing now? Like treating a lot of these releases as like box sets with all this content. This is designed to be like a starter set with all the cards and sheets and stuff. That's pretty cool. This is a really smart play because obviously Stranger Things is very popular, and people still look back and say that was a big factor in D&D's promotion, and just the arc of 5th edition's release can be tied to things like Critical Role and live streaming games. Cough, Rogue Watson. But, you know, Stranger Things also came out around that time and had a big focus of D&D and teaching it in a cool, fun way to a huge audience. Yeah, this looks pretty spiff. Oh yeah, there's another screen. Dustin and Will and Lucas and their characters. Will the Wise. There's the character sheets. I'm just like scrolling through. Okay. I want a good picture of the map though. Because the thing is, I like the black and white sketch art, but I don't necessarily want that for my map. I'm okay with that being on the characters and the sheets and things. But I want the maps to still be like good looking. Demo da, yeah. Some player handouts. Yeah, they just don't. They just tease. They tease too much. I am interested in this for sure. Where's the ultimate bundle? Where does it say what the different bundles are? Oh, you get the digital adventure pack. Okay. And the additional dice set. Oh, you just get all the digital set. It just combines physical and digital. Okay. So the physical book, or sorry, the physical box set is $50. $49.99. Here we go. Maybe some of these pictures. See if we can blow this one up. Okay. Okay. That map doesn't... That looks nice. Some color on it. I get that they don't... I guess the maps would be spoilery. Okay. So the physical book is $50. The digital is $19.99, which is going to include Gray Hawkins. what does digital include? Just everything but digitally? Adventure Club Pack, and then the Ultimate Bundle just includes both those for $59.99. All right, that's on Roll20 as well, or going to be on Roll20 for $19.99. I think it's got the same information on here. This is the D&D or the DM's Guild page, but it works for both of them. Yeah, 5. So I was correct. 5 pre-made characters, but you get 15 character sheets. So I assume we're getting levels 1, 2, and 3 for all 5 of those characters. 4 playable maps and a regional map of Greyhawkins. 4 handouts with 80s themed flavor and art. Again, if there was one adventure that can totally milk the 80s thing, let's have it be Stranger Things. Choose between 4 quick adventures written in the style of Eddie Munson, including The Vanishing Gnome, Scream of the Crop, Ballad of the Rat King, and Devil Metal Die. Okay. So that's the first time I've seen them describe the 4 adventures. Each adventure is supported with immersive maps and encounters. Interesting. And then could you tie them together as an adventure? Because it's levels 1 through 3. So clearly some of them got to be designed for like low level and then others a little bit higher. All right. Well, that is the Welcome to Hellfire Club. I am I'm a huge fan of Stranger Things, so I'm very interested in this. I like the starter box set aspect that they're rolling with it. I mean, they're not like, this doesn't seem like a half-assed thing. They are straight up like, hey, we're going to try to capture this audience. We're going to release it, at the rollout or close to the rollout of season 5 during peak Stranger Things again. And it's designed to help probably for people who are not even normally D&D fans. And that's, again, they're kind of framing it as a board game, and they've got like the maps and the tokens and the minis and the cards as a through line to help people like figure out what D&D is, I guess, which I'm still have mixed thoughts about it, because I don't think it's bad to give people like, the whole tabletop RPG thing, but as a big board game fan, maybe that's a good way to go. There it is on Roll20. Is that normal pricing between digital and physical? It sounds like it is. The physical might be a little pricier because it's got all that extra board gamey components in it. Which is, why I think the price is what it is, because it's priced like a board game. Whereas the digital version, $19.99, that's really solid for what is going to basically be 4 mini adventures, which is what, like half an anthology, I guess. Depending on how big they are. But you also get all the NPCs, tokens, and things that go along with 60 plus is pretty solid. That's actually a large amount of stuff. So compared to the price of something like what is Dragon Delves? Dragon Delves was $29.99, and that included 10 adventures. So Stranger Things, $19.99 for 4 adventures, but it's licensed, so you're always gonna, it's the Disney tax or whatever, you're gonna pay more. Like my youngest always wants to get like the Disney branded underwear or something. It's like, that's way fucking more expensive, just because it's got, Tiana and Rapunzel on it. I feel like the physical would be $50 and digital would be like 40. Yeah. No, I guess I appreciate it being cheaper also, but I still think it's because all the components, like that shit is expensive to manufacture and release. So I would say I am pleased that, because I wouldn't expect it to be any cheaper than this. So $19.99 is probably makes me more interested in it for sure as a digital thing. But hell, I think the physical components, like from what I was looking at, that would be worth for me getting the whole box set, even if I never jump into the damn thing. I'm just a huge Stranger Things fan, so I could see myself also tackling the physical box, and then maybe I can actually review physical products and not just the digital ones. So that is Welcome to the Hellfire Club. Pre-orders are available now. I sound like a fucking marketing person from Wizards. It releases on October 7th. So that's the next. So we still have Heroes of the Borderlands, which is their starter set that's coming out in September, right? So no longer have Eberron. Scratch that off. We've got Heroes of the Borderlands in September, and then we've got Stranger Things, Welcome to the Hellfire Club in October, and then a little bit later in this show, I'm going to talk about what's coming in November. But first, I'm going to delete some of these thousands of tabs I've got lined up. I want to talk about a new thing in Roll20, which I was alerted to, and it's a new feature that I could possibly cover, but it looks like Roll20 themselves are already covering it. This is called their Loot Manager, and it's a way they've created some kind of marketplace thing. I honestly have not even watched this video yet, so we're going to watch it together. If I need to skip through it or something, we can. It's about 7 minutes long, but this is a new feature. It's in early access right now. I think only to subscribers, so they're still in the process of rolling it out.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first look at Roll20's new
Dean?
Loot Manager, which allows you to create shops and treasure chests really quickly.
You need to get you a better
This feature
microphone.
is currently available in early access to Roll20 Pro subscribers.
Pro subscribers.
And we're going to walk through and show you the state it's in currently. So let's create a new shop. To do that, we'll click New Character.
Gosh, the mouse is huge.
We'll use the D&D 2024 sheet. And what's the shop we're going to create? Let's make a questionable alchemist, because everybody loves one of those.
We're making a shop like a character.
Now, at the bottom of the builder selection page, you'll notice some new options. You can build a shop or build treasure. We're going to start with a shop, so let's click that.
Oh. Wait, so on the screen where you can select build a character, where you see like edit sheet directly or build new NPC, there's also build a shop and build treasure and build bastion. I don't know if I've seen that before.
You can build a shop or build treasure. We're going to start with a shop, so let's click that, and it takes you right into this shop features. So we can very quickly change some of the details. This is a questionable alchemist. Who's the owner? Let's say
questionable alchemist. Is that the shop name?
That sounds like an upstanding shop owner. Other staff. Let's say there's a tweaky guy there. No one really knows his name. And what's the description of the shop? Say, smells super weird, but boy, you can't beat these custom items.
All right,
but you can also just very quickly generate inventory from your compendiums.
So you're adding items to the shop? So is this so you can let your players like shop?
This is an alchemist, so choose some potions. Let's say this guy only has some common potions. And I want to generate 6 items for this shop out the gate. Let's generate.
Oh.
Now I've generated 3 potions.
Okay, you can randomly generate items from a filter that appear in a shop. That's interesting.
The healings, 2 potions of climbings, 1 cleaning concoction.
How does it come up with the number?
I want more.
Oh, this is how many you select the number.
Like there we go. Let's generate even more.
Wow, okay.
It's all additive. So, okay. Ooh, look at that. Potion of Nature's Tongue. Great. Add to inventory. And now we very quickly have a whole inventory in the shop. Now, if there's anything you don't like, you can just very quickly remove it. I don't think that
Does this pull from
actually has
the compendiums that you have access to, we assume?
Okay. And something really cool you can do is you can edit each item. So let's say
only
potion
the
of climbing
has the price there.
This likely isn't real potion of climbing. Or if it is, it might have minimal benefits. Let's say this might be gasoline?
Yeah.
Question mark, question mark. The rarity of gasoline in this universe is quite rare. So let's put it to rare. And let's change the price to 500 gold pieces. Why not?
Okay.
Now, for any item in the inventory, you and players can click on it to view that item in the compendium. If you've changed it significantly, you might not want them to click it, so you'll remove that link. And there you go. And one other really amazing feature
this look like to players?
Is you can set your own markup or discount. So in the edit screen, let's say Corner Rick always gives a 40% discount to first-time buyers. Hit save.
We love Corner Rick.
And you'll see the prices have been reduced appropriately. Now let's say it's a little bit later. this neighborhood's really
Okay, but the others
picked
don't have
up, and
prices.
a lot of new money's come into this neighborhood, and Corner Rick is doing great business. So let's add a 40% markup. Save. You'll see all your prices adjust appropriately. Great. You can very easily display your shop to the group.
Okay. Click a button, show everyone.
And this is what they'll see. For the GM, you'll have this toggle for preview mode, so you can see exactly what it looks like to your players. Great, we have our shop.
So
Perfect.
it just acts like a pop-up.
All right, let's create a treasure chest real quick.
It's all very
again,
interesting.
same process, new character, D&D 2024.
I guess it's only useful if you want to do like a limited, which I've done before, right? Limited shops. Because I feel like a lot of areas, it's like, yeah, you want to buy anything from the player's handbook, you can. Like, I don't see the reason to put that in there.
And every garbage, as
That
we all
would
know.
be tedious.
All right, so same thing. Now we'll choose Build Treasure. The screens are very similar. Let's add some inventory, generate inventory. These are all going to be mundane items.
This is very video game.
10 mundane items for this trash.
Generate loot. Any
There's some
mundanes.
good stuff in this garbage. All right. Add to inventory.
Playing card set, a breastplate. So he threw away a full
And with
breastplate in the
treasure
garbage
chest,
can.
You can do the same thing. Add description. There is the lock DC, at which point you can unlock it.
Oh, that's funny. That's all very video gamey.
And just like any other character sheet, you can add your own artwork. So
you can put it on the
for
map.
a trash can, let's drag some trash can art right onto it. Save changes. And now, from your library, anytime you drag your garbage can to the VTT, there it is, with its beautiful art and everything. And so...
Wait, you okay. So it's just basically as a character sheet.
So
but
what's
it's a
not
loot
in this early
box.
access
This
just
is
yet?
Interesting.
Currently, we are still building out this feature. We actively want your feedback. We want to hear what you like, what you don't like, what you're looking for. There is some really great features coming down the road for this. The big piece we're working on currently is sheet-to-sheet technology, which will allow players to directly drag an item from a shop or a treasure sheet from that sheet onto their sheet, and the item will transfer appropriately.
Okay. Because otherwise, I assume what they're doing is, if you've got it in the compendium, then they can drag it from the compendium, and then you'd have to delete it manually from this sheet for a limited
Currently,
quantity
that's not available, and so the way you use this feature is by just talking between the GM and players, saying, "Hey, I'm in the garbage, and I am taking one of these breastplates." And the GM can go, "Great, you took a breastplate. Let's change that from 2 to 1. Done." So for now, you still need to communicate, but automation is coming to help that.
So how... I could see my players liking that, actually, especially because we play a lot of video games together. But is the functionality where like the players can actually click on the chest and then have the chest pop up and say like, hey, we want to unlock this with our thieves kit, and then you do, or it sounds like it's still the GM actually running everything, but you can at least show these character sheets like you would a handout, and then the players could at least look at them, I guess, and then there's a link that they can click it that opens it in the compendium, which is a way of them being able to look through it. That is interesting. I mean, it's still, obviously work for the GM to put it together. I guess I'd like to see if future adventures, if part of what the Roll20 does when they put all the tokens on the map and the lighting and everything, if they also put together like shops with limited stuff. Although I don't see that very often in written adventures. The only thing I usually see is when they mention that, the players can buy anything from the player's handbook here. But it's usually me that has to come up with like, oh yeah, this one store here has this many potions of healing you can purchase. Like, 'cause I never know what to do with that. And then when it comes to treasure, like on the map, you would have to have a token that represents that. I guess you don't have to. You could just have a character sheet that the GM could open and show. But you could tie them to a token it's a little treasure map, or it's a whatever, it's a bookshelf or a desk or something. And the player could open that thing up and then have certain loot in it. But, we're not really playing Baldur's Gate style looting where it's like, yeah, this thing has, the one piece of loot in there. The only thing I can think of is like a Dragon's Hoard or like a huge cache of treasures where that actually does have like several items in there. But I don't think, a lot of us probably aren't interested in like, oh yeah, players are going to loot every single thing. And yeah, this thing's going to have random like playing cards and stuff in there. Like that just seems, I don't know, a little too video gamey. Compared to what's really important. But it's neat, I guess. It's cool that they're adding some functionality like that. But yeah, I would think the sheet-to-sheet functionality would be something that I would want to implement as quickly as possible, because people being able to purchase something and drag it onto their sheet seems pretty nice compared to like... I assume they could still, if what Dean was saying, that the GM can come in and decrease the quantity, and then the player can open their sheet, open up the compendium, and then drag the item, assuming it appears in the compendium and it's not completely custom, and then drag that compendium item onto their inventory sheet, because I do believe that we have that kind of functionality between the items populating in the sheet from the compendium. So yeah, that's a new thing in Roll20, rolling out right now for subscribers. I guess I could make a video showcasing it, although I think Dean pretty much did a pretty solid job, and you just heard my take on it right now. All right, moving on. Some news about Critical Role and video games. Speaking of video games, Critical Role is partnering with Ad Hoc Studio on multiple projects, including Critical Role's first video game. As part of Critical Role's commitment to telling a diverse set of stories with like-minded creatives, the two companies will collaborate on multiple projects, including Dispatch, as well as the first ever video game set in Exandria, which is the world of... Is that all the Critical Role worlds or just some of them? I'm not super well versed. Today announced collaboration on the highly anticipated video game Dispatch. Dispatch, by the way, is freaking awesome. If you enjoyed like the Telltale adventure game series in terms of their focus on narrative story and voice acting and animation and all that, but the gameplay is actually like a kind of a management sim-ish. I played the demo, and the demo was very, very fun. I had no idea that they were working with the Critical Role folks. But that's what Ad Hoc Studio is. I believe it's... I think Dispatch is their first game, but the people themselves are veterans of... Like a lot of indie developers, it's like veterans from other studios. The relationship began organically when Critical Role's CEO, cast member, and veteran voice actor Travis Willingham received an audition for Dispatch, an interactive narrative game built in Ad Hoc signature style. Design, tone, style, and storytelling. Dispatch jumped off the page. I knew, given the pedigree of the folks at Ad Hoc, as a team we wanted to collaborate with. Critical Role is always looking to build with people who are blah, 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 blah. Just teaming up with Dispatch, Critical Role, and Ad Hoc Studio are co-developing an original video game set in Critical Role's universe, embracing the same innovative approach to interactive storytelling that defines Dispatch. So that's probably the most interesting piece of information that, well, obviously the big news is we're getting a Critical Role video game, but the fact that they specifically looked at Dispatch, which I highly recommend watching this demo trailer, and I don't know if you can still play the demo or not. It was during one of those like Steam Fest things. But checking that game out, because it is very story focused. I mean, it's like watching like a high quality adult animation show, but then like the character will sit down at a computer and then it opens up and then like the game part well, and it's also like a Telltale game. If you remember those Telltale games, you could like select responses. So I guess I'm selling it short. It's more interactive during the story beats too. Like characters would talk and then you were expected to respond, and then you had like a couple things you could say, and there was like a timer ticking down. And then, so you could kind of change the story a little bit and, interact with people. And I couldn't tell in the demo if you could actually, like, make people like you or hate you or whatever, just based on those few interactions. But that's interesting, the way that they looked at that and said, okay, this is how we want to actually approach the Critical Role story. So maybe, how much is it going to... Because when we think of a lot of these fantasy RPGs, we picture the kind of Baldur's Gate stuff, right? Like the top-down tactical stuff. But I wonder if they're going with a way different approach that's much more like this, basically like Dispatches. It's the kind of collaboration you hope for, said Michael Chung, CEO of Ad Hoc. We've known the Critical Role team for years. When we finally started kicking around ideas, it all just clicked. It made sense in the best way possible, so we're thrilled we get to team up and cause some trouble together. Voice talent for Dispatch includes Critical Role's Matthew Mercer and Laura Bailey, along with a bunch of awesome, amazing... Yeah, Jeffrey Wright is so fucking cool and good in that guy. His voice is just amazing in general. Dispatch is releasing later this year. And then we don't know when the Critical Role... I mean, if they're just now announcing it... I mean, the good news is Dispatch is coming out this year, so they're probably in, obviously, pre-production for anything, but video games take years, which is why I suspect that the whole Kickstarter nostalgia craze for video games didn't really last very long, because people were excited and then realized video games take years. Even tiny indie games end up often taking years to produce. So we might not get something for a hot second, but that's pretty cool news. And it's, like I said, I think it's very interesting that they looked at this specific style of game and said, that's what we want to do. That's literally what Travis Williams said. Yeah, so I find that very interesting. It even made Variety. It was like, actually, I guess Variety is one that broke the news. Exclusive. Critical Role will start development on their first video game in partnership with Ad Hoc Studio. William and Bailey met with Herman, Ad Hoc CEO. We dinner in Studio City, immediately hit it off. General CR sees the game. Yeah, so here it says, very early of the company's co-development of an original video game set in Exandria, but in general, Critical Role sees the game following the same template as the narrative gameplay in Dispatch, in which the player makes choices. So that's very interesting. Toss around ideas we're thinking about in terms of scope and budgets. You're going to want to see your favorite characters. So way more character focused and about interacting with those characters than maybe about like the wide exploration aspect that we usually expect. But again, I don't know anything about it. We're just theorizing here. The game will be added with something unique in the world of Exandria. I think it would have to be something brand new in terms of storyline. He suggested the video game might be set at some point in between Critical Role's main campaigns. The game could feature characters from Vox Machina, Mighty Nine, and Bell's Hells, or only some of them, according to William. I believe those are the 3 primary campaigns. Very interesting. But yeah, I highly recommend checking out Dispatch. It's very cool. Dispatch is done everything with D&D or fantasy. It's like it's a superhero. It's like a superhero satire, I guess, in a way. But I enjoyed the demo a lot. Other big news. Man, it's a long one. We got a lot of news to talk about, turns out. Is that Game Informer, of all places, is revealing the cover art for the new Forgotten Realms books, which I believe are the ones releasing in November. Kind of bury the lead on when it's coming out. Wizard Coast playing a role at the newest iteration of Dungeons & Dragons Forgotten Realms game books later this year. And they are debuting the cover art from both books. Heroes of Faerun is the new player-targeted book, and Adventures in Faerun speaks directly to dungeon masters eager to set new adventures in the realms. Also interesting that they're calling it Faerun and not either the Forgotten Realms or the Sword Coast, which is how I think we've referred to them more commonly in the past, right? So does this mean we're actually going to get more of the region rather than just the Sword Coast area that 5th edition has doubled down on? And this new issue of which Game Informer primarily does video games, and they died like last year and then actually came back under a new company with like the entire original team. It was very cool. We got a lengthy multi-page feature detailing everything we could learn from this new version of D&D's premier setting, including details on the different included mini settings, different narrator choices from Forgotten Realms history that help to flavor the book, and numerous included additions to the game, including a new approach to magic. Also worked with Wizards of the Coast to include a double-sided poster packed in with the magazine showcasing the full cover art from each of the 2 Forgotten Realms books. I'm gonna have to fucking... I used to subscribe to Game Informer for years and years back when I was like in... Gosh. college mainly, I think, and then maybe for a year or two afterwards. Back when, you know, people cared about magazines. But I enjoyed that crew a lot in those magazines. Plus, I think it came with like your GameStop subscription for a while, and that's how they did it. So here's the cover art for... Oh, it does say Forgotten Realms on there. D&D Forgotten Realms Heroes of Faerun. Player expansion. All right, we've got characters on the cover. I believe that's the Blackstaff. What's her name? Varja, I think. She's the new Blackstaff wielder. Karlach, obviously, from Baldur's Gate 3. Minx from Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. Right? I don't think he shows up in 3. And then I think that is Jarlaxle from Waterdeep Dragon Heist and maybe some other adventures. I think it's the drow with the tricorn hat and eye patch. I don't think that's supposed to be Drizzt. There's the full artwork. Shows a dragon in the background and some fairy dragons, I think. Artist credit, Billy Christian. The Forgotten Realms campaign setting is a long and storied history that ties closely to the growth and eventual dramatic expansion of the D&D game. Hundreds of Forgotten Realms novels helped bring new readers into the genre during the early years of the fantasy fiction boom. Lengthy list of dozens of video games written in the D&D fiction of the last several decades. The vast majority are set amid the places, characters, and events of the Forgotten Realms. They sure are, for better or for worse. And speaking with the team that helped design the look of the books, it's clear there was a conscious effort to create a clear through line from the recent refresh of the core rule books to the visual style and presentation that fans will uncover in the new Forgotten Realms books. It's a connective tissue to the central setting that is in contrast to some other D&D expansions releasing over the next few months. So they're saying it's going to be very similar in design to the 2024 books, which makes sense. Players will notice that there's an intentional aesthetic bridge between the core books that came out over the end of last year and this year and what we did with the Forgotten Realms, says the senior graphic designer Matt Cole, because what will be transpiring as players pick up the books that came out this year before the Forgotten Realms releases. They're going to see in the Dragon Delves books a very different look and feel inside, which we definitely saw that, right? Very different art styles that kind of celebrates all the different eras of D&D. And with the Eberron released, yet another very different look and feel, which unfortunately we were not going to see because they delayed that book. Okay, and then here's the Adventures in Faerun. I don't know who that's supposed to be. Looks like a tiefling sorceress. Oh, there's our heroes in the background, though. You can see Karlach, Blackstaff, Jarlaxle, and Minx, like all up in the cover, or like in the background. You know, it'd be fun if they were like, if they literally could like connect them side by side or something. Like if it showed this picture of them. I guess it could be almost connect. Well, and they look at their underground here, and they're clearly above ground here. But that'd be funny if it was like, here's a different perspective. They're actually fighting a bunch of monsters. Oh, it says Valindra. Valindra lords over her minions as the heroes prepare to face her on the cover of Adventure in Faerun. Valindra is the... Isn't that the Lich Wizard, Red Wizard from Tomb of Annihilation? Is that Valindra? That doesn't look anything like Valindra. Is that supposed to be a Lich? Hard to tell. Doesn't look very lichy. Unless I'm thinking of somebody else. I think that's Valindra, right? Valindra. The only Valindra I know is the one that was the one in optional encounter you could have in Tomb of Annihilation, and she was like a secret lich. But she was, I believe, a red wizard who worked for Zaz-Tam, which I guess would be a cool angle. But she definitely has minions. Based on the design and art I saw during my visit to Wizard of the Coast headquarters, similar to the earlier core rule books, is apparent. So, unfortunately, this only talks about the art, it looks like. Although, yeah, the art looks fucking great. A big part of that is how much the art and design teams have embraced the popularity of the Forgotten Realms from all corners, including ample appearances from earlier video games and novels. Recent stars of the video games world, like Astarion from Baldur's Gate 3, make prominent appearances in the books. This is one of the most played and oldest settings for D&D, and one of the longest running settings there is. Says art director Emi Tanji. So there are a lot to pick from. There are a lot of novels. There are a lot of game content adventures. The team was very thoughtful in their choices of pulling newer faces like Karlach, and also pulling other characters that I think more ingrained fans will pick up, like Drizzt or Dragonbait. Dragonbait. I don't know if I know. That's not the guy from Neverwinter Nights, is it? The kobold? The evolution of art for Xanathar the Beholder. That looks cool. It's fascinating to see the process the design team undertake with individual artists. See the gradual transformation of a sketch with a final piece of art for the book, showing off seemingly minor tweaks make a big difference, revealing a notorious beholder known as Xanathar. Sweet. So it looks like this is just the announcement of it. But yeah, the new issue, which unfortunately doesn't even look like it's got D&D on the actual cover. It says the new issue has Bloodlines 2 on the cover. What is this? Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2, which, God, that game's been in development forever, I think. So this, yeah, so there it is. So you'll have to pick up, so the issue looks like this with the vampires, I guess, on the cover. But within that issue, they've got the full page spread and stuff for the art, and then a whole bit about Forgotten Realms and stuff as a preview. Did they ever say when these books come out? That seems like a misstep. I think it's November, isn't it? And I don't know when this mag. It just says the new issue, or wait to read until your print copy arrives. So I don't know when the issue of Game Informer actually comes out. Issue 370 is the one. And then this is a funny joke I saw, which is it's a map of the Forgotten Realms, and then the artist dimmed most of the map and wrote Forgotten Realms on it, and then highlighted the Sword Coast and wrote Remembered Realms, which is pretty fucking funny because that's exactly how 5th edition has felt in terms of the poor world of the Forgotten Realms, which is very, very large and has a ton going on, a ton more than has been actually explored in 5th edition. So even though people like me talk about, man, I'm sick of the Forgotten Realms, we've seen so much of it, we've actually only just explored the same friggin' areas over and over and over again. This is like the equivalent of like how every disaster movie and invasion movie take place in like New York City. We're like, all right, yeah, and superhero movie and everything is like, New York's fine, but let's go some other places. Oh, right. Dragonbait is from, yeah, that's right. Also from Tomb of Annihilation. Only communicates in sense. You're right. Totally found out. God, it's been too long since I played Tomb of Annihilation. And then there's one little bit that I did not notice before, but I guess this person from N-World has information from the upcoming Forgotten Realms books. Tucked away in the article is the announcement the upcoming releases will include several digital DLCs that expand on the new setting. One example was Astarion's Book of Hungers, which focuses on urban vampire adventures featuring the character from Baldur's Gate 3. That sounds really cool. No other details were made available during the upcoming releases, such as whether the new supplements will be paid DLC or free to D&D Beyond subscribers. Wizards has released several digital-only supplements alongside their various books, ranging from mini bestiaries to supplementary adventures, but all were free to D&D Beyond subscribers or available as pre-order bonuses. Since the books aren't available for pre-order yet, it's hard to say whether it's new strategy or simply continuation of current works. They did have a specific artwork, which Starion looks great there. And the phrase digital DLC suggests this might be a new monetization scheme for the company. So that information I didn't see in that Game Informer article I just read, but maybe that's in the actual, the full article, the announcement of these digital DLCs. So yeah, that's kind of a new thing also. Interesting, I guess. But yeah, just go ahead and release. I mean, that's fine. If you want to release little DLC packs of adventures, that's what the fucking DM's Guild is, basically. Go for it. I don't have a complaint about that, I think. Wants me to stab him in the face. No! He's awesome. Although, was ultimately not chosen for our origin character playthrough. We only have 4 characters. Alright, I think that is going to do it. We actually ended up making it just perfectly on time for this episode of This Week in D&D. Thank you all so much for joining me, and as always, big thank you to all the patrons for helping support this channel and make these little streams happen. Shouts to Platinum patrons Joe, Will, Thomas, Brandon, Genocide, Roleplay Roll, Christopher, Big Nut, John, Nathan, Andrew, Stephanie, Jason, Lumpy Spuds, Ward, Unima, LC, Tom, the Dogs, Marcus, Nugget, Hugo, Jerry, Shay, Sasha, and John, and gold patrons RPG, Papercraft, Pretty Boy, and Yuma, Dead Lizard, Lounge, Drome, Nathan, Scott, Rufus, Jerry, Glenn, and Mark. Thank you all very much for your support. For patron players, I will see you tonight. For everyone else, I will see you on Friday for, well, get ready to look at the channel because I'm announcing what's coming next.